Benjamin Netanyahu's request for a presidential pardon marks a moment of acute constitutional tension in Israel. It represents not only a personal legal gambit, but a profound test of the state's commitment to the rule of law under extraordinary political strain. Netanyahu has been on trial for years on charges of bribery, fraud, breach of trust. He's always denied wrongdoing and framed the investigations as a partisan vendetta aimed at weakening a democratically elected leader. Now he argues that the burden of frequent court appearances impairs his capacity to govern and exacerbates a national divide that only clemency, he claims, can heal. He presents himself as the indispensable leader who must be liberated to face Israel's many security challenges. This case challenges the boundaries of executive privilege in a parliamentary democracy. It is historically rare, in fact I think it's the only time for a sitting prime minister to be put on trial and to request a pardon mid-trial, and even rarer for such a request to be considered without a conviction or an expression of remorse. President Isaac Herzog is therefore thrust into a position in which any decision will be interpreted as deeply political. To deny the request risks accusations of judicial vendetta. To grant it without an admission of guilt or resignation would cement the idea that political power offers immunity from accountability. Opposition leader Yair Lapid's response captures this dilemma. He insists that a pardon is conditional on taking responsibility, expressing contrition, and withdrawing from political life. Otherwise, he argues, it tears at the very fabric of equality before the law. Critics warn that Netanyahu is using the language of unity as a shield for self-preservation, and that accepting his logic would endorse the conflation of his personal fate with the fate of the nation. The public mood matters here. The memory of vast protest movements against judicial overhaul remains fresh. Many Israelis see the court system as one of the few institutions capable of constraining executive overreach. A pardon issued at this moment would risk confirming their worst suspicions that justice is negotiable for the powerful. Yet, it would be naive to ignore the political reality. Netanyahu retains a fiercely loyal base and governs during a period of regional volatility. His allies present the trial as a costly distraction forced upon the country by an overzealous prosecutor, or by overzealous prosecutors, and they believe a pardon would allow Israel to refocus national energy on defense and diplomacy. They also note that the legal process has been painfully slow, interrupted repeatedly by wartime exigency. President Herzog must weigh law, precedent, and political legitimacy all at once. The legal path exists. Israel's High Court has previously indicated that pardons can be granted before conviction when the public interest demands it, but public interest cannot simply mean the political interests of the incumbent. What hangs in the balance is more than Netanyahu's future. It is Israel's claim to be a country where leadership doesn't place one above scrutiny. A pardon risks declaring that accountability is optional for those who command enough votes in the Knesset. Herzog's eventual decision will be judged for decades. If he denies the request, Netanyahu will continue his defense and the courts will speak. If he grants it, even with careful justification, he reshapes the boundaries of executive power in Israel and alters the meaning of equality under law. In the end, national unity cannot be conjured by passing or bypassing justice. Unity is sustained when citizens believe their leaders are judged like everyone else. It is that belief, not any individual public political figure, that ultimately protects a democracy under pressure. But of course, as we saw with Sarkozy, as we saw so much earlier with Nixon, putting a senior politician on trial is not something any country should do lightly, and I think countries should hesitate before doing so, because it opens up political office to extraordinary pressure, and I think it deters ordinary people from advancing into the political arena. And for that reason alone, I think one should be very careful. I'm not suggesting immunity, but I am suggesting caution.